Okay, good evening. So, first of all, I hope that you have all received the 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 slides and the syllabus for the business strategy class that I have sent you already. Um, for some reason, I'm not able to upload the syllabus today, even today. Uh, but I just wanted to see if you have all received the syllabus and if there's any questions. If you have any questions on the syllabus, or are you all clear on the book that you're going to use, how you're going to do the assessment, the objects, the course objectives, everything is clear to everyone? And also, please make sure if you're not going to speak, mute your microphone, because every now and then I hear your microphones are on. So, like now, Mr. Backlash, your microphone, please mute your microphone. Please kindly, Mr. Backlash, please mute your. Mr. Backlash, please mute your microphone. Okay. Yes, please be worry about your microphones and make sure that you mute your microphones, because that will disturb the class. Unless you want to talk, and I would suggest raising your hand, and then I will enable your microphones. But don't turn on your microphones unless you want to speak to the class. Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead and start the class. Business strategy. Why is it just 2 pages? Okay, sounds good. Okay, so the core concepts that we are going to discuss in this class is strategy, the concept of strategy, sustainable competitive advantage, business model, strategic management. Again, I'm hearing a microphone that is activated. Please, once again, mute your microphones. Now, yeah. Again and again. Please mute your microphones. Okay. So strategy, sustainable competitive advantage, business model, strategic management process, company's vision and objectives, strategy, making hierarchy. So these are the concepts that we are going to discuss in the class, in this session, and go over them one by one. Okay, first of all, what is strategy? Strategy consists of competitive moves and business approaches that managers employ to attract and please customers, to compete successfully, to grow the business, conduct operations, and achieve targeted objectives. So you have all heard of this topic and concept of strategy and business strategy. A lot of companies nowadays are using the term strategy. Let's strategize. A lot of companies now, they have a strategic management officer, or like SOO, strategic officer. It's like or COO, like Chief Strategic Officer, CSO, is the person in charge of the strategy and strategic management of the company. So it's becoming a very, very important concept in any organization. So it's important to understand what is meant by a strategy and how we can use a strategy in order to succeed and be able to basically utilize those strategies. For those of you, I'm receiving a message from Mr. Jahadullah that you cannot see the screen. So please, you can. It should be like on the first page, which is the business strategy. Who is not able to see? Who is able to see the slide? Can I get confirmation? I want to make sure everybody is able to see. Those of you who are able to see, could you please just verify? Yeah. So if you are not able, Mr. Jahadullah, I would suggest logging out and log back in. If it doesn't show, it might be your login problem, but it should show as the title of the slide is BS, Business Strategy. So everybody's seeing it. So I'm just guessing it's your login problem if you're not able to. You can log out and then log back in. Okay. So let's continue. So business strategy, I was saying, is a very important concept. Again, there is a microphone on, and I want to insist and ask you to mute your microphones. Please mute your microphones. I can't just be muting your microphones. I really ask you and urge you to mute your microphones because it will disturb the class. Okay. So let's get back to the concept of strategy. So it basically consists of competitive moves and business approaches. The concept of business strategy was introduced by Michael E. Porter. He's a Harvard Business School professor who came up with the idea of business strategy. He wrote a book called Business Strategy back in the 80s, and that was the first step in setting the foundation for the concept of business strategy. So the whole idea is for the company to be competitive. A lot of times we're competing against other companies. Like competition is out there because there was a time back in the day that there was only one company that was producing, let's say, Kleenex, like tissues or napkins. So it was Kleenex, and that's how you see like Kleenex is actually the name of the company that is now used as the name of like when you want to ask for tissue, you can say, do you have any Kleenex? But the fact of the matter is that Kleenex is actually the name of the company. But because there was that time that there were only few or one company producing that product, the name of the company was coined as the name of the product. So that was like so dominant. And there is another microphone on, and I don't know how to ask you to mute it again. Please mute your microphone. I mean, this is not right. Please mute your microphones. Okay, so where were we? Okay, I lost track. Okay, so yes, there was the time that it's getting really annoying. Okay. So there was a time that companies like Kleenex were the only company. There was no competition. So the competition was not at stake. So the companies did not think of how to compete, how to make competitive moves in their business approaches to be successful, to win the competition. But now that there are several business like companies out there, several companies competing against each other in each sector. So no matter what product or service you're providing, there's several companies out there doing the same thing. So for you to be competitive, it takes a lot of competitive advantage now. So the ideal business strategy is one of the most important ones now that you want to compete against other companies. So you want to attract and please customers. So that's the first rule. Rule number one, when you are first introduced to the market, what you need to do is to attract people, attract customers to your company. So you got to be attractive. Yes, let me see. Yep, okay. Is it better now? Can you hear me better? I was receiving a message that you cannot hear me clearly. Can everyone clarify that you can hear my voice? Okay, perfect. So you want to attract and please customers, as I said. You want to bring in more customers, and the only way is to communicate and show yourself as attractive as possible and as pleasing as possible. So that's rule number one. Rule number two is you want to compete successfully. So you are competing every single day, every single moment. You're competing against several other companies out there. When you are producing keyboards, let's say, for computers, there are several companies A, B, C, D, E, and so on. They have a keyboard exactly the same way that you have, and it's already on the market. So for the customer to choose your keyboard, like rather than the other keyboard from the other company, you got to be competitive, and you got to win that competition. And then you want to grow the business. We'll fully discuss this concept of growing the business as a foundation of business strategy. There was a time when companies would say, okay, we start the company, we have this size, and we have this number of customers, so we are safe as long as we can stay the same size. So now it's a new era, new chapter in the business and in the market. You can no longer say I can just stay the same size that I was and just and be successful and happy, because the growth is one of the basic requirements of your business nowadays. If you're not growing, your business has a good chance of going out of business. Growth is one of the undeniable requirements for you to continue your business successfully. So for you to compete, you got to be able to grow. And why is that? We'll discuss that in detail through the course also, because a lot of companies that are successful and they're not growing, they will be bought or acquired by bigger companies, or they will go out of business because the competition is the way it is now. And for you to be able to compete, you got to grow in order to be able to compete against other big companies. So growth is one of the requirements now. And then conduct operations. You definitely want to do operations. If you are a producer of a certain product, you are definitely operating, and your operation is doing stuff in order to produce that product. Even if you're a servicer, if you're servicing and providing service, you still need to operate certain operation. The operation department has to operate in order for you to be able to service your customers. And finally, we're going to tackle the objectives. It is important for the company to have and set objectives. So objectives could be short-term objectives or long-term objectives, but that's for you to obtain and achieve them. So let's say your objective for a month is to increase the volume of your production of that certain product by let's say 100,000 units. Okay, I'm receiving another message. Somebody's not. And then again and again, please mute your microphone. Okay. Okay. Somebody. Okay. So, any questions so far? Yeah, that's a very good question from Mr. Zormaki. Is it good to let your competitor grow or not? That's actually an ethical question as also. You see companies like Microsoft, you see companies like Google nowadays, or Facebook, or all these big giant companies now. They are really hostile when it comes to competition, meaning that they don't let the competitors to survive. So there have been a lot of lawsuits against them, and many times they lost. Like even Apple, they lost a lawsuit just recently to Samsung, and vice versa. I mean, there are lawsuits left and right against each other for unethical conduct when it comes to competition and not letting others compete. So to answer the question, there's not much you can do in order to let or not let your competitors to grow. So you basically should not ethically do anything against them. But what you should do, you've got to focus on your growth as much and that much that your growth is extremely large compared to other competitors, that they are not able to compete against it. So, but you are focusing on your own performance rather than focusing on somebody else's performance in order to succeed. So it's not by reducing the other company's performance that you will succeed, but by increasing your own performance, you will guarantee that you will win the competition. So that's how you should try to rule, rather than try to bring down your competitors. That's not an option, especially ethically. Is not a good strategy. And you might get by once or twice, but end of the day, it's not something that you can continue doing, and you basically will not be able to continue doing that. Okay, then I have another question. You're welcome. One example of conductive operation. So conducting operation, as I mentioned, operation is actually one of the courses that the Worldwide Science Organization offers. It's called operation management. Every single company has a department called operation. I mean, service companies, their operation department is probably smaller, and the type of operation they do is different because they are providing services. Normally, operation is for the companies that are producing some product. So in order to produce that product, you got to do some operation. You get the material, the raw material, you do the processing on them, and then create the product, the final end product that you need. So that's how the operation works. And also, to compete successfully and grow the business, as I mentioned, Mr. Summit, we were saying that nowadays you cannot just stay the same size and at the same level and be successful and compete and win the competition. Now, for you to be able to succeed in the competition, one of the requirements is to grow. And when you grow, you are able to successfully compete. And again, there's please mute your microphone, Mr. Nasra. Okay. We need to do something about this. Okay. No problem. So, to answer your question regarding the operation strategy, Mr. Harun, here's this link to operation strategy. The operation, I'm guessing that you're talking about the operation. Is it linked to operation strategy? Is that your question, Mr. Harun? Yes. Okay. It's really noisy, and you are not muting your microphones. I mean. So, I lose track of the concept. Yeah. The operation, basically the operation strategy is the strategy you use in the operation. So that's how it's linked to the operation. And regarding what you missed, Mr. Nasrati, you missed about 24 minutes or 25 minutes of the class. We're showing one slide, but we have been discussing and reviewing many different concepts. So I'm showing one slide, but we are covering a lot of concepts. Okay, strategy involves making analysis and choices. So also another concept that we want to cover is analysis. So So basically, for strategy, you're doing always analysis. We will cover that also in detail. We'll cover the SWOT analysis, SWOT, that it will be one of the major tools that you need to use in your final project for your analysis. So basically, we will cover how analysis is done when it comes to business strategy and how that will help you to succeed in the competition. Okay. So then is the concept of sustainable competitive advantage. So for you to compete, for you to have that competitive advantage, you've got to have something called sustainable competitive advantage. So what is the sustainable competitive advantage? A company has a competitive advantage when a sizable number of buyers prefer its products or services over offerings of competitors. So in order to discuss the sustainable competitive advantage, first of all, let's see what's competitive advantage. So competitive advantage, as I mentioned, like indirectly in the previous slide, is when you have a product, like you're producing, let's say, keyboards, back to the keyboard example. You're producing keyboards, and there are several keyboard producers out there in the market. So the customer will choose your keyboard rather than all those other options they have in front of them, because you have the competitive advantage, because you are better. You're bettering off the customer by purchasing your product. It might be exactly the same price, even slightly cheaper or more expensive, but when you have competitive advantage over other companies, the customer, or a big amount or number of customers, a sizable amount of customers, will choose your product over other options, and that's because you have that competitive advantage. So the company achieves sustainable competitive advantage when the basis for this preference is durable. That's rule number one for you to be able to succeed in competitive advantage and business strategy. You want a competitive advantage that is durable, that is lasting, that is something that you can rely on. It's not just for today or for this month or for this season. It's something that you're going to continue, and years from now, when you look back, you see that you have sustained, you have kept and continued doing the same thing that got you the competitive advantage that you needed. To have an edge in the market and to sustain it over a period of time is called competitive advantage. To have an edge in a market and sustain it is to have sustainable competitive advantage. But to have competitive advantage, as I mentioned, is when customers choose you over other products available. A good example to that is Apple products. Look at iMac. Look at iPhone. iPhone sold 51% of cell phones in the U.S. market last year. So that is a competitive advantage. Just one company is actually monopolizing the cell phone market. That's a huge competitive advantage. So what we mean by the competitive advantage is 51% of customers chose to buy iPhones compared to all other cell phones available to us. So that is called competitive advantage. 4 possible strategic approaches to achieve sustainable competitive advantage are. So there are 4 ways for you to achieve that sustainable competitive advantage, because the first question comes to mind after understanding what's competitive advantage, what's sustainable competitive advantage, is what are the strategic approaches that we got to take in order to achieve that. So let's talk about the how. So being the industry's low-cost provider, there's a method, there's a technique called low-cost provider. And what is that? It is when the company is providing the same product at a cheaper price. We look at the Chinese products that are out there. So When you see those Chinese products, they're always cheaper, and that's why a lot of customers will choose to go for them rather than those other products from other countries. So, or even within the same companies that are in the same local market, not necessarily they're from China, but they are providing a cheaper price for several different reasons that we will discuss that also. So then they still have competitive advantage. Then the next one is differentiating features. Differentiating features is when you are differentiating your product from other products. When you are providing a product that is different, that is unique enough, that stands out from all other options. A good example here would be Virtu. I want to show you something. Okay, so okay, so let me share my screen. So look at here. This is a website called Virtu, and this is a branch. This is a product, a sub-product of Nokia. These are basically handmade cell phones. When you look at these cell phones, you see like they're made the way that they're totally different from normal regular cell phone that you would see in the market. They use very unique materials in order to produce these cell phones. So as you can see, like they endorse Ferrari, they have like unique designs. They're made in United Kingdom, and they stand out. They're all handmade. So this is a cell phone, a Virtu cell phone could cost you anything like $75,000. So like the materials they use are like uranium and all those very long-lasting, durable materials that will basically, last forever. So this is a good example. Going back to slides. So going back to the slide, when you are differentiating, a good example of differentiating is Virtu. Virtu product is basically when you are providing a unique product and nobody else can have it. So this Virtu cell phone is not a regular cell phone that you would find in the market. So for some company to compete against it, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of expensive materials and expenses for the company to compete. So that's how they differentiate enough. So when they are priced at like among the highest, most expensive prices in the market, there's the differentiation. You see that they're different. They're providing something that nobody else is providing. So let's see. There's a question here. You have not got it. What is your question, Mr. Sarenzade? You have a question? Okay. So then we have focusing on narrow niches. So perfect. So focusing on narrow niches, in a sense, Ver2 would also fall into that category. When you differentiate, you can just differentiate in certain areas, like Louis Vuitton or certain products that are very unique and they differentiate. But there are certain ones that they just focus on very, very niche market. They just cover the needs for that type of customers, and that's when it's niche market. So niche market is just a narrow, small, tiny bit of the market that they have unique needs, and for you to just focus on those needs and provide the unique products to satisfy their needs is called the narrow niches. Then expertise and resources and strengths that rivals cannot compete or imitate. So it is really important for a company to be able to provide that competitive advantage that cannot be imitated by other companies. So it's also important to understand that competitive advantage should not be imitated. If you have a competitive advantage and it can easily be imitated, I would think twice. I wouldn't call it a competitive advantage, because competitive advantage is something that cannot be imitated easily by other companies. So if it is imitated easily by other companies, that is not a competitive advantage. So your resources, your strengths should be unique enough for you to sustain that. I mean, of course, nowadays the imitation and competition is so tough that at some point in time it will be imitated. When you look at the concept of iMac, that there is a the desktop, there's a screen that aside from the monitor is also your case. It's just one piece. It comes in one piece. That was a huge competitive advantage, and it was not able to be imitated, right? But after a while, like after a few years now, you see Dell and all other competitors also providing a similar concept. Or look at iPad. iPad was named as the top, or the toughest innovation of the year in the year of 2011. So it took about a year or so, or like a couple of years, for all other competitors like Samsung or like all these, like Motorola, all these other competitors, they came up with the concept of basically the tablets. They call it tablets. iPad is a tablet. So you see, imitation happens at some point in time, but it's just for you to be able to make it as hard as possible. And yes, imitation is not illegal. I mean, copyright is important. You gotta follow the copyright patents, like those products that are over a certain amount of years, like 20-something years, you can easily copy, and the copyright does not necessarily apply to them. But the new product, there are certainly copyrights and patent rules that one should really be careful about when they're imitating. But imitating is also the concept. You don't have to just copycat the exact same product. You can take the concept of an iPad and then create your own tablet. That's what has happened. They imitated the concept, but not identical copycat of the product. So that's a different thing. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily talking about an illegal action by companies. I'm talking about a concept that is very common, and that's imitation. But you got to make it as hard as possible. So your products are even the concept is not easy to imitate. On that case, that Samsung was forced to pay to iPhone was they were using exact same thing. It's like they were exactly copying it and making money off of it, even though iPhone had got the copyright on it. So yes, this is a very, very fine edge, very fine line where the imitation turns into copying, and that's when one will get in trouble. So it's really, really a very fine, tiny little line that will, comes to illegal actions, and there are very, very big penalties for them. So then we talk about business model. Business model is also a very important concept. There was a time like people would start a business, like entrepreneurs were just opening up a business and they would just start without any worry about anything. Okay, let's just start a business and we'll have some capital to invest and start up their business. But nowadays, for you to make sure you're able to succeed, what you need, the first question that the investor is going to ask you when you're an entrepreneur and you're going to come up with a business is, what's your business model? I mean, that's the first thing you got to present to the investor. If you come up with the idea, okay, that's awesome, but you got to have a business model. And business model is describes the economic logic of how the strategy can deliver value to customers at a price and cost that yields acceptable profitability. Every single word in this sentence is a key term. So it describes. So business model is descriptive. It's describing what's going on. And it has to describe the economic logic. So there should be an economical logic behind your business model. So economically, it has to make sense. So we have a course offered in Worldwide Science called Business Economics that some of your batch are attending. I mean, we do explain the business economics concepts in detail, but generally, economic logic is the gist of any business. You've got to make sense economically, and how your strategy should deliver value. Then again, this is another key term. You got to deliver value. Value is what you're delivering. No matter if you're producing a product or delivering a service, you are delivering value. You should be delivering value. The customers are not just caring about just the product or the service anymore. They want something else. They want to see how you're different from others. If you are just giving me a product that everybody else has, why should it choose you, especially if you're more expensive? So the only way that you can convince a customer that they got to take your product compared to others, like let's say Apple, let's say Microsoft, let's say like a lot of cars like Porsche, let's say Ferrari. Why would a buyer, a customer, choose a Porsche car or a Ferrari over all other cars? Why do they stand out? Because they're delivering value. Even in a smaller tone and level, like let's say when it comes to computers, like a Dell or like those like not necessarily luxury goods, even like normal goods. When you go to a shop, we have a shop here called 99-cent store, and there are several. Every single product in that company in that shop is $1. So when you go there, they're all cheap products. But even then, you as a customer, you have options. When it comes to like cans, like bean cans, there are several different brand names that you can choose, right? And so the only way that I will choose a product as a customer is when I feel that I'm getting a value, something of my benefit, not just the product or the service, something that benefits me. That is got to be clear. Delivering on value does not mean return on investment. Delivering value could be tangible or intangible. So the return on investment is normally for the producer or basically for the service provider. But the value, we're talking about the customer. The customer has to receive a value, has to receive something that benefits the customer. And going back to your question, Ms. Hadia, previous slide, can you explain about narrow markets and niches? Yes, narrow markets and niches I was explaining. Narrow niches are those unique needs that are there. Let's say you're a service provider, okay? And your service, you are helping the single moms. Single moms are those who are divorced or their husbands have passed away. So single moms. And you're helping the single moms that have kids from age 4 to 7 year olds to let's say help them keep their kids. Your company have daycare. You basically take care of the kids. You know, you have a kindergarten or whatever. You provide certain unique educational courses for those kids from 4 to 7. So now you are only focusing on a very niche market. First of all, you're only targeting single moms, and their kids are within that same age bracket. So you are canceling out a lot of other possible customers because your expertise is focused on that niche market. So that's how the niche market comes to place, and your product could stand out because let's say there are not many service providers that focus on this particular group of customers, and because of that, these customers have been very dissatisfied because they have very unique needs, and you just by focusing on those needs, you're able to be the monopoly of the market because you are the only one who understands that niche market and focus on that and benefits the customers and delivers value. So that's how the niche market will come to play. Then, value, then, as I was trying to explain, is the benefit, right? Let's say I'm buying a car, okay? I'm buying a car, I'm buying a Honda and like a Japanese car or whatever, and I go to the car dealership and I see certain cars in that price range that I'm looking for. Let's say I'm looking for $20,000 cars, and I'm just looking at those cars. I have few options with that price range, right? So what makes me choose among those products? Some factors that could influence is like the looks of the car, the engine, or like how efficient the fuel efficiency. All those could be considered. And after calculating all of those, I'll see what values me the best, what gives me the value the best, benefits me the most. It could be tangible and intangible. So altogether, I'll choose a car. They're all priced probably the same, and I'm looking at a certain price range. I'm just looking at different options at the same price range. So price is the same. So and they're all brand new. So I'm just looking at what I will get as a customer, what benefits, and that's how the value will be clarified. So business model should tell you whether the revenue and cost flowing from the strategy show business viability. So business model deals with how the revenue and cost they flow. So you got to make money from your business. That is correct, Mr. Nuristani. Yes, value could be intangible also. So it could be tangible or intangible. So I was saying the business model should bring in revenue. So your cost and revenue, basically your production cost, when you deduct it from the money you make out of your services and products, you're left with the revenue. And your business model should guarantee you have a viable model because it brings revenue. It's not break even. Another concept that is also important to understand is the break even point. Break even point is a point where you are just making enough to cover your costs. But you always need, in a business that has a good business model, you always need the minimum, which is the break even, plus the profit, plus the revenue. So the bottom line, Americans use this term a lot. What is the bottom line? So the business model is actually telling you the bottom line. It's telling you what this business is going to do for the customers, how it's going to bring in revenue. Very simple. So a company should have a business model that promises acceptable profit regardless of whether there are competitors or not. That's also important because a lot of times you see business models, they will only be successful only if there is no competition, which is actually not real. There will be competition. I mean, even if your product is brand new or your service is something different, there will be competition right after you come into the market. If the idea catches on, you'll see a lot of competitors will try to compete against you. So you always got to take care of that concept before even entering into the market. So you cannot say there will not be any competition because there is not now. You cannot say that there will not be any. So your business model should be strong enough to guarantee your revenue regardless of the competition. That's important. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. So what is the strategic management process? The steps by which management converts a firm's vision, mission, and goals, objectives into a workable strategy. So in a strategic management process, your management is converting your vision, mission, and goals, which is also important. We'll discuss that into a workable strategy. So one of the stages is called external and internal analysis or SWOT analysis. This is an important analysis. We will learn it fully in this course, and you will realize how useful it is in any single analysis, like any time that you need an analysis to be done. This is one of the types of analysis that you can always use, and it will give you a very clear picture. SWOT analysis is S for strengths, W for weaknesses, O for opportunities, and T for threats. Formulation of mission and policies, implementation and evaluation. So your strategic management consists of all these. We'll discuss them fully. Let's start with confidence vision. Yes, that's a good point, Mr. Nuristani. The strengths and weaknesses are internal, and opportunities and threats are external factors. Very nice. Yes, that's great. So a strategic vision is a roadmap showing the routes a company intends to take in developing and strengthening its business. a lot of times when I ask my students what's the vision, they think it's just something out there, like something that people frame it on the wall. When you go to a company, you see the vision framed on the wall. That's our vision, and that's it. It's not that. The vision has to be a roadmap of your company. It has to be your target. It's actually one of the most important, it's actually the most important step in forming an organization. Because they say, like companies like Apple, like Steve Jobs, the reason he was so successful was because he had a vision. His vision was implemented, and that's how Apple got so successful. So the leader of the company is the one who comes with the vision. So the vision is something for everyone in the company to know where we are headed. Like as if when you take a train from San Diego to Los Angeles or anywhere, and for you to take the right train, you got to take the train that has the destination that you have, because you know where you're going. Or when speaking more of like a business perspective, when you start a business and you just start without any vision, you don't know where you're going, so it will be very easy to get distracted. But by having a vision, know what you want to do. Like, I want to become the #1 producer of let's say disposable utensils or kitchenware in LA market or in Kabul market. So you have a vision, and your vision is realistic. You want to become that, something that you want to be, something that you want to do. So it paints a picture of company's destination and also a rationale to get there. It portrays company's future business goals, where you're going. So to answer your question of how to develop a vision is something that should come from inside of the business developer. Not everyone can be an entrepreneur. Not everyone can be a leader. But you got to have a vision. You got to know what you want to do. That's the first question that you want to ask yourself. When you are writing a business model, when you are starting a business from scratch, when you are talking to an investor, telling them about your business model, the first question that you got to ask yourself, and you got to be sure to be able to answer if you're asked by your investors, what do you want to do? Like your business, what's the vision of the company? And unreachable, but in order to comment on your statement, Mr. Najibullah, a vision that is unreachable is not a good or right vision. The vision that is correct is reachable. So if you see a company that they have an unreachable vision, they just chose a wrong vision. And then what is the difference between visions and objectives of the company? We'll discuss that. The next slide we'll talk about objectives. But just to answer your question now, the objectives are those steps. You set objectives one by one, and that's part of your part of the process of moving towards your vision. What is the simple vision, or what do you mean by simple vision, Mr. Nickpool? Sure. Mm, simple vision. I mean, it's probably just a vision that is drafted in a simple, straightforward wording. So your vision has to be straightforward and understandable. It doesn't have to be something that is really complicated. Of course, visions has to be very simple and straightforward. That's the only thing that comes to mind. Then pest analysis is out of our topic, but just to answer your question, is political, economic, social, and technological analysis. So you cover all those aspects when you're. I mean, we will discuss that in our course, but that's not part of our discussion today. But that's your that's the. So it portrays. So we discussed that. So now we get to mission. So the vision was where you're going, but the mission is a company's statement articulates who you are, what you do, and why you're here. Yeah, right now, a company's vision describes its present business scope and purpose. Like right now, as of today, I am or we are in this business the let's say the number one in the city of Kabul. We are the number one in producing, let's say, cartridges for printers in city of Kabul. And we do that by best service, by best materials that we use, and we have like this many customers that are loyal to us. So you got to understand who's your buyer that you want to satisfy, and the customer groups and market segments that you want to serve, and then the resources and technologies that is developing to try to please the customer. Mr. Kakar, you are absolutely right. The mission is the steps you take in order to get to your vision. You got it right. That is correct. So, so your mission is what you do right now, and it has to be in line with your vision. If you have a mission that is totally to the opposite direction from your vision, you got it totally wrong. So your mission has to lead you to your vision. So so you need to know which buyer, which customers you're targeting. You need to know the customer groups and segments. And you need to know the resources, technologies that you're developing and trying to please the customers. Okay? Now, going back to your question, one of you asked me about objectives. So companies' objectives are organizations' performance targets. You want to resolve an outcome that you want to achieve, right? So let's say this week you want to increase your productivity by 10%. That's an objective. So when you increase your productivity 10% this week, and next week another 10%, and so on, and you improve by setting objectives and goals, short-term goals, you are delivering the mission, and by delivering the mission, you're moving towards the vision of the company. So objectives are like yardsticks, are measurements for you to see how your performance is going on. So two distinct types of objectives are financial and strategic. Financial is when you want to increase in your revenue, your profit, earning per share, credit sharing, credit ratings, cash flows, all these. And then the strategic is like increasing in the market share, lowering your cost, increasing your brand name. Market share is when the companies have shares or stocks that the other people can buy. So increasing your market share means that your shares, the value of your share is increasing. Like what happened to Facebook, or what happened to Apple, you know. I mean, they had a reduction in their stock price recently, but overall, their stocks have been tremendously increasing in price. So that's what we mean by share, the market share. So that is correct also, yes. How much of the market you're controlling is your market share as well. So it's like a pie. If you look at the market, it's like a pie. Let's say you are in computer industry. If the computer industry is 100% and you're only 1% of that, when you want to increase your market share, you're actually increasing that piece of the pie you are. So instead of being 1% of the pie, you want to be 2% or whatever percent. So increasing the share prices and increasing number of shares is like doing that in practice. So when the stock market, your shares are improving and increasing, it's as if you're taking a bigger piece of the pie for yourself. What do you mean by not stock, Mr. Shakur? Stock and the share is the same. They are alternative terms for the same concept. What is your question? I don't understand the part that you say not stock. What is it referring to? Yeah, please explain. What do you mean?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hi, sir. How are you? How is everyone?
Very good, thank you.
I mean by not stock. If for example, if a company has more stock in the market, it does not mean, for example, to control the whole market. And the stock of the market and the number of the share depends upon the value of the share. Am I right? If for example, the value of the Apple company share is more than, for example, Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
If the value is more, it means like if the share is less, if the value is more, it means it controls more of the market share. Then, and it depends like directly by the value of the share, not the number of the share.
Yes and no, because when you are comparing the shares, you have different concepts. You have the value of the share and the number of the share. If the company is so small and the number of the shares is too small and the value is too high, you cannot compare that to a company that is so big, the number of shares is so much, and the price is much less, right? Because when you're comparing, please keep in mind that there are all these characteristics to a share and a stock of a company.
You are right. You are right, sir. For example, if the whole market value is, for example, $5 billion, okay, and if the company controls, for example, 20% or 30% of the whole market, it means like if the value of that company is more and their their issued capital is less, and their the issued capital in the market is less, it does not mean he does not, like that company is not controlling the market. The value also determines the share of that company or that market, that company in the market. For example, as I said before, if we compare Microsoft with Apple in the IT companies or IT industries, the share value of the Microsoft is, Apple is much more than, for example, Microsoft or Samsung in the whole industry, IT industry of the globe or of the world. And this determines if the value is more and the number is less, the market share depends upon the value of the share. Am I right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. But if the value is not big enough, let's say the value is very small, but so the number of shares is very little, but they are very expensive. You cannot say they have a bigger share of the market. You only have to look at the whole picture. You got to see how those values of the shares will translate and project in the whole market with regard to the value. As I said, it's like a pie. So you see how much of value that certain company has in the stock market, and that is determined by the number of their shares, their values of their shares multiplied, and gives you a value. And then only you can compare with all other. So when you're comparing, make sure you're comparing everything with the same determinants. You cannot compare a company with a lower number of shares and the higher value, and then you make sure you're comparing oranges with oranges, not apples and oranges. So there are times that the company is so small, so they have very little shares, but their shares are expensive. So that does not necessarily mean that company has a higher value or higher share in the market from a company which is much bigger and it has a lot more shares, but the shares are much more cheaper. Are you following me?
Yeah, you are right. Like we cannot, for example, compare orange with apple. We should take into account the homogeneous things. And in the, for example, if we compare the Samsung with the Apple company, and we should also take into account how much percentage of the, for example, iPhone or iPods or, for example, this mobiles of the whole globe of the whole world is controlling by the Apple percentage. If we take into account the whole percentage, it means after that we can we can know that by this percentage what is the value of the Apple or what is the value of the Samsung and what is the value of their share and the number of the share. Some companies the value is much more, the number is less, but some company has the issue capital is much more, the value is less, but the number is more. But this determines the percentage, how much, like as a pie as you told before, if we take into account the pie, how much percentage that company is controlling in the market. After that, we can determine what is the number and what is the value.
Yes, you got it. That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, and then finally, the last topic is a strategic or strategy-making hierarchy. A company's overall strategy, the collection of a strategic initiatives and actions that is devised by managers and key employees up and down the whole organization. So the strategy making hierarchy is devised of all members, all employees involved in the organization, how they project, how they take actions that basically devise the overall strategy. It is compromised. It is made of corporate strategy, business competitive strategy, functional strategy, and operating strategy. So all these different levels of strategy are basically devising that. You see the corporate strategy is the highest level. It involves the managers, the leaders of the company. Then you have the business competitive strategy, which is at the lower level, the supervisor level. Functional strategy, even further down, and operating strategy is the bottom where the operations happen. So that's for today. Any questions so far before I give you the task for today?
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Hello, sir. I have one question. I have a doubt here.
Sure.
As I know, we have three levels in the factory or in the company. One is the strategic level, one is the management level, and one is operating level. Am I right?
Not necessarily. No. You could look at it in that way also, but it all depends on the type of company. As I mentioned at the beginning of the course, like up until a few years ago, even strategic management was not even part of the company. They didn't even think of strategy as a department. So now we have a strategic management department in some companies. So it all depends on the company. Some companies have marketing department, HR department. Normally, actually, companies have management department, they have HR department, they have marketing department, they have operation department. So 4 departments are pretty basic.
You're right, sir. Like up to now, what we study in the books or something like from the which is going on today, that these 3 levels, for example, one is like corporate level or strategic level. Second is like tactical level, management level, or the third one is operating level. The corporate level, for example, giving strategies, vision, mission. For example, if a company wants to enter to the market or withdraw from the market, this is a strategic making level. It gives to the, for example, functional level or management level. After that, the management level is in this level, the people are, for example, managers, something like in the in middle level people. After that, they are going to take into account whether we withdraw from the market or whether we should enter to the market and what is the consequence of this. And they are reporting back to the board of directors. And the third level is operating level. Operating level are those people, for example, they carry the strategic level from the strategy which is given by the management level to operating level. This level is the day-to-day working people. So some people who do not take part in the strategy. And what the middle level they are saying to them, they are going to operate that thing. And they are not, for example, strategy making people. Mostly we have, I think, 3 levels. One is a strategic. They are the people who are going to make, for example, vision, mission, objectives, the more important parts. They have, for example, board of directors, executive directors, non-executive directors. After that, we have management tactical level, and the third is operational level. I think, am I right in this part or not?
Yeah. Yes, you got it right. Yes, that's basically true. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Some of my classmates are complaining about me. I don't know, like.
No, that's great.
No, just like after half an hour, just I have a doubt. I want to clear it. For example, you're the lecturer and professor, and if I have any problem, for example, we should clear the doubt. And
yeah,
this is this is the second day I didn't ask any question. I don't know. For example, we should take parts in the class. If that's the case, I will not ask any question. Sorry for those guys who, yeah.
No, please,
sorry, sir.
Please take part. I really appreciate if you guys also come in and talk and express your comments. That's what a graduate level class should be. I mean, it's like only for bachelor's degrees that there's only the one guy who talks like a lecturer or teacher, and then everybody else just takes note, and that's it. In a graduate class, everybody has to chime in and talk, and out of discussion, we realize and learn from each other. So I encourage all of you. It's actually great that you participate, and everybody else in class should do the same. So.
Thank you, sir. Because of that, that's not bachelor, that's postgraduate in MBA. And MBA is something, for example, if you have any question, we should clear it. If my classmate has any doubts, they should give their comments back, and we should clear it by this. We should go on like, if this is bachelor and we don't know anything, some of the people have some ideas, they should share it here. And we should learn from each other. I don't know, for example, we cannot learn from the e-books or something.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
thanks, sir.
Thank you. Let's. Is there any questions? Any comments or questions before I give you the tabs for today? Anybody has any other questions? Okay. So let me just give you the tabs. Okay. So the task for today is please write a vision, mission, and objective your current job. If you already know okay, so let's see. Okay, so please write a vision, mission, and objective statement. If you're currently at a company that already has one and you know it, just write it. But if not, just write it yourself according to the characteristics of the company that you already are working for. You should know about their values, their concepts. So you should be able to write one. So I rather those examples that you write that is more geared toward your own career or job rather than just general examples you just write. So please make sure to use your own type of job and work, line of work. I want to see how you can apply these concepts into your own career. I mean, the whole point of this course and all these courses that you're taking as professionals, write it now, yes. As I mentioned, in the class, I'll give you assignment, like only 5 minutes or so. And then in the class, everybody will discuss it. And then you just email what you wrote in the class to me. So that's how I do it in the class. This helps you to sort of internalize what we discussed in the class. If I would give you an assignment and you would take it home and you would or you would not spend time on doing it or last minute doing it, it will not be as efficient as right now when we discussed it. And you should send it to me tomorrow. But by tomorrow, I like all these assignments that I give you in the class. I want them to be emailed to me next day. But in the class, like right now, you should write it. The assignment is not meant for more than 5 minutes. So I give you 5 minutes to think about it, start writing it. I want a simple one. I don't want you to spend a lot of time on it. But that helps you to internalize all these topics that we discussed that certain session. So it's very helpful in helping the concept to gear and stick to your mind. So spend a few moments, make sure it is as close and as practical as possible to your own career. So as I mentioned, I don't like just generic examples. Make sure it's something with your personal experience in it. So write a vision, mission, and goal statement in the next few minutes. So I give you 5 minutes to start writing it down, and then we'll discuss a few of your answers. Are there any questions? Is it clear? Okay, beautiful. I'm not giving you homework, Mr. Nisar. I'm giving you something to be able to apply. And the whole point of attending this class is to be able to apply these concepts. So if you are not able to apply these, I mean, what's the benefit? What's the point of spending time in the class and it's actually wasting time? So I'm not giving you homework, and that's basically my focus. I'm saying I'm giving you this assignment in the class so you can discuss it here. So if you do not have time, you can maybe it's not the right choice for you to take this class. But I really mean it when I say I'm giving this assignment, and I expect everyone to participate. So if you are not able to submit those, maybe you should not take this class. Is that clear? And it was Mr. Ahmad. Is that clear? Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay, thanks. So spend a few moments. We'll get back and discuss together. Okay. So let's see what we have here. Okay. So okay, very good. Thank you for. So you're, as a member of Afghanistan Civil, suppose- copy again. Okay. So from Mr. Shakur, your vision for your company to be the leading insurance company in the country. Okay, that's a good one because that means that you're heading towards that way. Uh, my email address, I have already emailed you the syllabus and the slides. You can just respond back. But I'll also, and it's also mentioned on the syllabus, my email. But I'll write it down again for you. Then for the question, whether you should write it for a project or for your own position, it should be for your company, not just for yourself, but for the whole company. Should we send it tomorrow night? Yes, you can send it by tomorrow night. I mean, you can send it right now, but the latest that you can send it to me is tomorrow night. Mission is providing insurance services to people of Afghanistan in the areas housing and cars. Very good. On agriculture sector, the company. Your vision is to become the leading agricultural provider in Afghanistan. Your mission is to establish brand distribution points, provide training to farmers, qualify input, provide input for farmer affordable and timely manner. Objective is to increase the production of Afghan farmers and develop the agriculture sector. In the agriculture sector, your vision is to become the leading agricultural provider in Afghanistan. Your mission is to establish brands. Okay. To provide lasting services for people of Afghanistan in areas of insurances and raise people to rely on insurance sector. World-class investment promotion, support agencies. I am an IT employee. I am to spread new ideas. Miss Miss. Okay. Quite right. So the lecture is almost finished. Everybody's working on their task, Mr. Nuristani. So I'm reading your answers. And I have already started reading them, Mr. Kakar. Provisions, training employees, delivered. So what you will send, Mr. Nuristani, is your answers to the vision, and your objectives. So I asked everyone to write it down, and so far most of your classmates have mentioned that and put it in the chat box. And please email it to me as well. You'll we should send it to you. Yes, please send it to my email, and then. So you send exact same thing, your mission, your vision, mission, and objectives that you just wrote in the chat box. Okay. Yes. Not for yourself, but for your company that you work for. And okay, so Your business, Mr. Nuristan. And what notes are you talking about, Mr. Nuristan? I have already sent you the slides. I sent them to you yesterday. Yeah, this session was sent yesterday. You can always leave the class whenever you want. You can join whenever you want. But the class is not finished yet. But you're more than welcome to leave the class. Okay. So just to wrap up, let me explain a little bit about how the class goes, because I see a little bit of confusion here. I always send you the slides before the class, like the class for today. I sent you the slides yesterday, plus the syllabus that we went over last week. So you received these slides, you received the syllabus yesterday, so you already have it. And for the next session, I'll send you the slides before the class is actually done. And then I did get your assignment, Miss, for your project, Miss Akbari. Yes, I did get it. And can you please? Okay. Then for each class, we will have discussions. When I present a topic, I encourage everyone to participate. You can comment. You can make you can ask questions. If you have an example, a personal experience example, I'll be more than welcome. You're more than welcome to share that with your classmates and with all of us. That's how we can learn from each other. End of each class, I will give you an assignment, and that assignment is supposed to be done in the class. I give you a question, or like I ask for a personal experience example, and that's very much related to the topic that we discussed. I choose something that I find more complicated or more confusing than other topics. I ask everyone to answer that. I give you 4 or 5 minutes in the class to write that down, and then in the class you write it. So I don't expect you to spend any minute extra on it. I just want you to email it to me, and I give you a day extra just if you want to like put in a Word file or whatever, and then email it to me next day. This is your task, and for those of you who think it's not in school and you don't want to do it, you can just you don't have to do it, but you will lose the point that is given to this task. And this task is one of your requirements for the completion of the course. So I expect everyone to participate. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yeah, I've got Mr. Khabir. Yeah, I got Mr. Khabir's, I got Mr. Akmal, and Mr. Aryans so far. And for you to have my my email again, my email is Julian. And Mr. Harun, I haven't got yours yet, but sometimes it takes a few minutes to. I got Mr. Miss Samei's one also. Okay, very good. So, are there any questions before we will wrap up? Any questions or comments? An example for vision is like, as I mentioned, like you want to be the market leader in keyboard producing in the whole Afghanistan. Let's say if your company is located in Kabul, you want to be the leading company in Afghanistan. Or let's say you are an import-export company, and you say our vision is to be able to do the import-export from let's say 20 countries by the next year, or like even 10 years. Your vision could be a 10-year or 5-year vision. You say in the next 5 years we want to be there. So that's where you want to be. Okay. No, an objective then would be different because objective is a short term. Your vision is a long term. It's like, let's say 5 years. In 5 years you want to be somewhere. But objectives could be monthly or yearly. Like within this year, you have to do something in order to move towards that vision that you have in 5 years' time. For you to be the leading producer in the whole country, first you got to be the leading in let's say in the city that you're located, and then you got to expand. So every year you have certain objectives you have to meet, and then by that you will move towards your vision. So that's how they are different. They are goals, but the term and you know the requirements to achieve those goals are different. Okay? And okay, thank you everyone. I will definitely get your assignment if you send it to my email, so that'll be okay. And so basically what we need to do now is just send that by end of the next day. You can send it now if you have it, or whenever you get a chance. No, please send it to my email, because I will not. It's not like here in the chat box. Is not going to be. I want to have it on the email also. So please make sure you email it to me. Mr. Harun, did you get the answer? Yes, please send it to my email. Okay. Yeah, for those of you who send it to me, I will respond back so you make sure that I got it. Okay? Okay. So that'll be the end of the class. I'll see you guys next week, and thank you so much.